Good morning, children. Welcome back. Let us continue with the lesson, the atmosphere. Let us see what is weather and what is climate. Now, let us see the difference between weather and climate. Weather is the state of atmosphere of a place for over a short period of time, and weather will be keep on changing. If one day the weather is cool, the other day it might be hot. So weather will be keep on changing. It might be changing for hours or days. It will be changing. It is not at all stable, and we can indicate the weather by elements like temperature, pressure, wind, precipitation. Because of all these things we can indicate weather, and we can see this weather change phenomena in the layer called troposphere. Climate is the average atmospheric conditions of an area for over a long period of time. Weather is taken based on every day. It will be keep on changing, but climate, it is studied for over 30 years based upon the elements like temperature, pressure, precipitation. All these are the factors through which we can study the climate of particular area. Weather and climate have huge influence on the lives of people. So India, we are used to have hot climatic conditions, but if we take US, Canada, in all these places we see cold climatic conditions. So the climate is different in different places. Now let us see what are the factors that influence climate. Let us see the factors which influence climate. The first one is atmospheric temperature, air pressure and wind, moisture, and the last one is precipitation. So let us go with atmospheric temperature. So it is the degree of hotness or coldness of air around us is called as atmospheric temperature. The degree of hotness or coldness of air around us is called atmospheric temperature, and this is one of the most important element through which we can know whether it is having hot climate or cold climatic conditions. And in a day we can see variations in the climate, is it or not? In the morning time or in the afternoon time we have hot climatic conditions, and in the evening we have cold weather conditions. So it is not stable throughout the day, it is changing. So that is called as diurnal. So that is called as diurnal range. And the temperature also changes in different seasons. So in a year we have 3 or 4 seasons. So in each season the temperature is different. In summer it might be very high, and in winter we have cold temperature. So it is keep on changing depending upon the seasons. So that is called as seasonal variation. So the temperature varies according to season. And again this atmosphere is divided into, it is also influenced by different factors like latitudes, altitude, and distance of the sea. So temperature is determined by various factors like latitude, altitude, and distance from the sea. So now let us see what is a latitude. So around the equator, the sun rays directly fall onto the earth. So when it is directly falling on the earth, what will happen? It is more likely to be hot when compared with other areas. So if the sun rays directly fall on the equator, that area will be very hot because it is directly falling and it is covering less area. So if it is the sun rays fall on these areas, so it is taking an angle. So when it is taking an angle, it is not directly falling on the earth. So when it is taking an angle, what will happen? It is occupying more area when compared with the equator. So here it is having less heat. Near the equator it will be very hot because the sun rays directly fall on the earth, and on the poles here it is not falling directly, it is taking an angle, so that these areas will be cooler when compared with the equator. So the next one is altitude. Atmospheric temperature decreases with increase in altitude because the air in those areas will be thin and it is having less airborne particles to absorb heat. So we can see in hilly areas like in Himalayas and in other places, these mountains are in a height, so the temperature there is less and these places are cool. Next one is distance from the sea. In coastal areas, we can see the temperature is moderate. The land gets heated up faster and cools down faster. During daytime, the water will have cooling effect, and during night time, the water will be warm. This is because, this we can see that the temperature in coastal areas is moderate when compared with other areas. Let us learn the heat zones of the earth. Depending upon the temperature, the earth is divided into 3 different zones. They are the torrid zone, temperate zone, and frigid zone. So this is the equator, and this torrid zone lies between the equator, Tropic of Cancer in the north and Tropic of Capricorn in the south. So the torrid zone is near the equator. You all know, near the equator the climate will be very hot. So this torrid zone is the hottest layer of the earth or hottest zone of the earth. And next one is temperate zone. It is here. So the temperate zone is not too hot, it is not too cold, it is moderate. And this in the northern part, it is located above the Tropic of Cancer, near to the Arctic pole. So this is the Arctic pole and this is the Antarctic circle. So it is located almost near to the Arctic circle in the north and Antarctic circle in the south. So the last one is frigid zone. So this frigid zone is located near the poles. In the north it is located near the Arctic circle and in the south it is located near the Antarctic circle. So this is the hottest zone of all. Among all these 3, frigid zone is the coolest zone. Let us see air pressure. We all know that atmosphere is having some dust particles, water vapor, gases, all these are present in the atmosphere, and we know that air is also having some weight. So now let us see the definition of air pressure. The pressure exerted by the air on the surface of the earth is known as air pressure. The pressure exerted by the weight of air on the surface of the earth is known as air pressure. We do not feel this pressure because every human body will have some pressure and the atmosphere also has some pressure. So we do not feel the pressure. Now let us learn the major pressure belts of the earth. Actually, the main work of these pressure belts is to determine the course of wind. The main work of these pressure belt is to determine the course of wind. We can call these as belts or pressure zones. So near the equator, we know that the temperature will be high. If the temperature is high, the pressure will be low. In hot temperatures, what will happen? The air will raise up. So the pressure will decrease. So this equator here we call as equatorial low pressure belt, or we can also say as doldrums. So near the equator we have low pressure and the temperature is high. So it is called as equatorially low pressure belt or doldrums. If we go above, if we go north 30 degrees, then that layer is called as subtropical high pressure belt. Here the pressure is low in near the equator, and in subtropical belt, here the pressure will be high. So it is called as subtropical high pressure belt. And even in the south also we have subtropical high pressure belt. And again, if we go 60 degrees north, we have another belt called subpolar low pressure belt. Here the pressure here in near the equator, the pressure is low. Here pressure is high, and again here pressure is low. In the subpolar belt, the pressure is low, and even in the south near the subpolar belt, the pressure is low. And in the polar areas, it is very cold. So if the temperature is cold, the pressure obviously will be high. So here pressure is high. Temperature always influences air pressure. When the temperature is heated up, it will raise up and it will leave that area with low pressure. Always the wind move from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure. The movement of air from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure is called as wind. And we can say that wind is moving from one direction to other direction. Like if the air is moving from north to east, so that kind of wind is known as northeast wind. So we can name the wind depending upon the direction it moves. Depending upon the nature of winds, winds are classified into three types: permanent wind, periodic wind and local wind. Now let us learn permanent wind. Permanent winds are nothing but they blow from same direction and follow the same course throughout the year. The wind moves the air from hot climatic conditions to the cold climatic conditions. So the wind will be moving, and these permanent winds are also called as prevailing winds. So by movement of hot air and cold air like this, it will maintain global temperature. So these permanent winds are again classified into trade winds, westerlies, and polar easterlies. near the equator we know the temperature will be high, and from subtropical high pressure belt the wind is blowing towards the equator in the south. Even in the south, the wind is blowing from subtropical high pressure belt to the equator, and even in north, and even in the south it is following the same thing. The winds are blowing from subtropical high pressure belt to the equator. So these are called as northeast trade winds. The wind is blowing from northeast. So depending upon the direction we name. So these are called as northeast trade winds and southeast trade winds. And let us go to the westerlies. Westerlies are nothing but these winds blow from subtropical high pressure belt to subpolar low pressure belt. In the north, they blow from subtropical high pressure belt to subpolar low pressure belt, and in the south they are moving from subtropical high pressure belt to subpolar low pressure belt. So these are called as north westerlies, south westerlies. And now let us see polar easterlies. They blow from polar region to subpolar low pressure belt in the north, and in the south they blow from polar region to subpolar low pressure belt, and these are called as polar south easterlies and polar north easterlies. So depending upon the direction of wind we name these. So the permanent winds are divided into trade winds, westerlies and polar easterlies. Trade winds are nothing but they blow from subtropical high pressure belt to the equator in the north, and even in the south they are blowing from subtropical high pressure belt to the equator. So we name it as, in the north we say it as northeast trade winds, and in south we say it as southeast trade winds. And coming to the westerlies, they blow from subtropical high pressure belt to subpolar low pressure belt in the north. So we say it as northwesterlies, and in the south they blow from subtropical high pressure to the subpolar low pressure belt. So we name it as southwesterlies. And let us see polar easterlies. They blow from poles to subpolar low pressure belt in the north, and we say it as polar northeasterlies, and in the south we say it as polar southeasterlies. Let us learn periodic winds. Periodic winds are also known as seasonal winds. Depending upon the seasons, the wind direction changes. The wind blows in different direction. Especially summer in India, the southwest monsoon winds blow from sea to land and brings rainfall. Especially in summer in India, the southwest monsoon wind blow from sea to land and it brings rainfall. In winter, it takes opposite direction. It blows in northeast monsoon winds. Now let us see land and sea breeze. Land and sea breeze. So we know that during daytime the land will be hot and it will have low pressure, and during night time the water will be hot and it will have high pressure. So now the land and sea breezes are also periodic winds and that blow daily. And so during day the land is hotter than the water in the sea and it will have low pressure, and thus leading to sea breeze. And during night time the water in the sea will be hot and the pressure on the land will be low, leading to land breeze. So the periodic winds are also called as seasonal winds, and depending upon the seasons, the direction of flow of wind will change. In summer, we have a southwest monsoon winds that blow from sea to land and bring rainfall, and in winter it blows in opposite direction from north to east monsoon winds, and we see land and sea breezes. So these are also periodic winds, and during daytime the land will be hot and it will have low pressure, and during night time the water in the sea will be hot and the land will have low pressure, so which leading to land breeze and sea breeze. And now let us go with local winds. Let us see what is a local wind. Local winds, these are the winds that blow over a small area at a particular time of the day and an year. Those are called as local winds. Example, Lu wind that blows in western Indo-Gangetic plain during summer. So the example of local wind is Lu wind, which blows in western Indo-Gangetic plain during summer. And these local winds are hot, dry and very strong. These local winds are hot, dry and strong. So tomorrow we learn moisture and precipitation.